I totally forgot to tell the story. So, I promised this on the episode. So here's a bonus episode. Two things I noticed actually about stories. Number one, I apparently repeat myself. So anytime somebody says the Black Keys in that order, I always end up telling the same story that, hey, I once had beers with the Black Keys. So I apparently told that story back in episode 44. So apologies if that seemed like a repeat. So, what I did not tell, the story I did not tell was, my very interesting run-in. Hard to call it a run-in. It was a big interview that was being done at Georgetown University here in Washington, D.C. of one of my favorite bands, Sonic Youth. And it was great, some big symposium or something like that. They didn't play, but they were all on the stage. They started off the whole thing by showing the video for Disappear. If you don't know that song, you should go check that out. It's really good, one of my favorites. Then a great interview, and then there was time for audience Q&A. So I immediately sprint to the nearest microphone, which was luckily right nearby where we were sitting, in the back of the auditorium there. And I, got to ask a question. And Kim Gordon is the, woman who, you probably know her voice if you listen to any Sonic Youth. I asked her this question, and it is, and I'll sort of paraphrase it. Cool Thing is a song that has been a part of my life for a very long time, and a very important one. It was one of the first sort of gateway songs into Sonic Youth and into larger indie music and the college rock scene and all of that. But what I love most about it is the collaboration. Chuck D from Public Enemy is in this song, and it was a very young Chuck D. So I asked the question, what's up with this song? How did you end up collaborating with Chuck D? And, were there any other collaborations with hip hop artists that you ever considered? So Kim Gordon goes into this whole thing about how they were recording this album and they were looking for somebody that had kind of a contrasting voice, but a male voice, because this is a pretty feminist song. If you've ever listened to the lyrics, fear of a female planet, all that. So, when she did say that sort of blew me and everybody in that little audience away, was the song has nothing to do with Chuck D or Public Enemy. They just happened to be recording in the same studio next door, and they tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, do you want to be on a Sonic Youth album? He said, sure. The song was actually about LL Cool J, because apparently Kim Gordon had a massive crush on LL Cool J, so they wrote a whole song about it. And then as you think about it, the song goes, Cool Thing, Walking Like a Panther. If you recall, back in the day, LL Cool J, who used to not just be a TV star, used to be a hip-hop star, his album was something like Walking Like a Panther or something along those lines, or he had a track like that. So it all suddenly made a lot more sense. But apparently this was all a big ruse, a mechanism for Kim Gordon to try to get into LL Cool J's pants, sort of paraphrasing what she said. And so the whole audience is laughing. I'm laughing. And I just closed it off by saying, you know what? That is not what I expected. Kim Gordon, Sonic Youth. That's my story.